Have you ever felt like you're doing everything right financially, but somehow you're still falling behind? Like one month you're completely okay. And then the next month something shifts, gas prices go up, an extra bill comes, and all of a sudden everything's really tight again. I want to let you know that you are not alone. Right now, Canadians are feeling something called financial whiplash. And everyone's experiencing this. And it's really hitting families really hard. So today, that's what we're going to talk about. According to recent data from MNP Ltd, most of these stats, pretty much all these stats are coming from MNP Ltd, an article that I read recently, and I want to give to you guys because you might be sitting there and thinking, man, why do I get ahead and then I'm just stuck again? Well, some of these stats are really going to maybe encourage you or probably discourage you, but they'll help you to see why you're stuck again. You see, 61% of Canadians at this point in time are experiencing financial whiplash, what I talked about in my intro. What that means is their plans keep getting disrupted by just financial changes. And that's a problem. Think about that. More than half the country feels like they can't get a stable footing. Just when they think they're ahead, all of a sudden, bam, they can't get on the right track again. And that's not all the bad news. It actually gets worse. 74% say rising prices are straining their finances. Not rising prices in movies, not rising prices in entertainment or the like, but actually rising prices in food, rising prices in gasoline, rising prices in electricity and water. Just things you need as a Canadian to live are causing financial strain to 3/4 of the population. And because of that pressure, 84% of Canadians are now cautious about taking on debt. That's crazy. There's only a group of 10% of people that are not cautious about taking on debt, about renovating their house, taking on a bit more debt, about using their credit cards. Everyone is so cautious as Canadians right now, which, for some of us, that sounds really wise. We're like, yeah, of course. I follow Dave Ramsey and I follow the Dave Ramsey way, and I am not going to take on debt. But actually, this really shows us that people are stretched. When just the average Canadian is saying, I'm not going to take on debt. That's not wisdom. The average Canadian doesn't think like Dave Ramsey. But because they can't take on more debt is because they're feeling really stretched. And if they take on more debt, then that's just going to cause more pain in their life. You know what? I can feel that in everyday life. Can't you? How has it been to go grocery shopping? There are times when we go grocery shopping now that we're just saying no to stuff like sour cream, saying no to butter. Well, I guess we'll buy margarine. Or you know what? That's even too expensive. And we're getting to the point where, beans and rice are actually looking really attractive. And, I can stretch a bag of flour a lot farther than I can a loaf of bread. And maybe I don't know how to make bread, but I'm going to learn because I have no other choice. So even simple things like feeding your family, paying just your regular bills just feels heavier now. And here's the danger. When life feels unstable financially, we start making decisions out of fear instead of out of clarity. We start buying an enormous amount of toilet paper. We tighten everything. We stop spending. We go full austerity. Nothing will be spent anymore. No fun. We stress. And ultimately, we lose peace. And you see, and then tax season comes. As if you weren't already on the ground being pummeled with punches, tax season rolls around every April in Canada. Personal taxes have to be filed by the end of April. And everyone is just on edge. 16% of Canadians assume they're going to have to pay taxes they cannot afford. Can you stop for a second and just let that sink in? And for younger adults, 18 to 34, 21% of them say they have to either go into debt or borrow money just to pay for their taxes. And about 11% are going to dip into their savings. And what is that savings made up of? Well, that savings is for, the car they want to buy. Or it could be for the house they want to live in. And all that does is delay that and just causes more pain. Now you're not just behind, but you're actually eating into your future just so that you can live in the present. And there's something very sad about that. There's something very real about that. And there's something very painful about that. Here's the big idea I really want you to hear. Financial pressure isn't just about money. It's about stability, it's about control, and ultimately it's about peace. And right now, a lot of people are feeling like they're losing all three of those things. They're losing stability, they're losing control, and they're losing peace. When life feels uncertain, we really try to carry more than we actually should be carrying. And what ultimately is the result of that? It just really, really weighs us down. And as Canadians, many of us are not immune to this right now. We're really feeling weighed down. So most of this video so far has been not great news. It's actually been really bad news. So I want to bring us to a place of hope. So let's look at that. What can we do in these times when everything seems to be just imploding? I'm going to give you 3 simple moves that you can do, and many of them are already in videos that I've already done in this 52-week series. The last video I talked about, get brutally honest with your numbers. When you're writing down your groceries of $100 and it's $250, don't do that. You have to get brutally honest. You have to say, you know what, my groceries are $250. I'm gonna have to swallow that pill. That's hard to swallow, but that's where I gotta go. You need to focus on things that you actually can control. And so I know when fear starts, you try to control everything, but there's many things that you can't control. You can't control inflation. That's up to the powers that be, and it's not up to us. But you can control how much you spend. You can control how much you plan. You can control how much you communicate in your home with everyone else that's part of this. And 3, you need to build margin no matter how small it is. If you can build $20 into your budget, that's margin. You need to build that margin into your budget, because even $20 creates some peace, creates a little bit of room. Make sure that you talk to someone about this, talk to your spouse, talk to a loved one. Just don't do this alone. You're not alone in this. You could try to pretend you're alone in this, but don't. don't do it. Reach out to those that care and can even help you in this time. If you've really been feeling this financial weight, you know you're not crazy. Many people have been feeling this financial weight right now. You are living in a moment in time as a Canadian, and it's harder. For some of you might be older and maybe it's not as hard. For some of you who are younger, it's really hard. Build stability again. Make sure things are clear in your financial pathway. If you don't know even where to start, check out some of the videos that I've done in the past. And we're starting to build a foundation here on how we can be financially wise. And I just want to be clear, any of the stats that I shared here were from Ipsos. And they were shared by MNP Ltd. And so I want to give credit where credit's due. They are the ones that found these numbers, and I just saw them and was like, wow, this is crazy. These are high percentages. This is not just an anomaly. And I think that many people are feeling this. And so that's why I created this video. That's why I started this. That's why I'm starting this series, because I can feel your pain. I've been there. I've been struggling. And I want to try to help as much as I can through it. Even though this isn't financial advice, I'd love to coach you along this journey. Continue to watch. Make sure to subscribe, hit the bell, and let me know in the comments below how you're feeling financial pressure. Have a great week.